Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Policies here, and welcome back to a brand new episode. So let's just go ahead and have a quick update about what we're probably going to see at this debate and how it's going to be judged and viewed by people across the world. There's going to be over 100 million people across the world watching this. That's pretty much at Super Bowl levels, and I would say most of the voters are going to be watching this, including young people, old people, black, white, Asian. They're all going to be tuned in on this debate. And this is one of the few debates where I would say it's possible that this election could be swung in one direction or the other, depending on the performance or how depending on the performance of the candidates. There are still a lot of people on the fence, especially regarding some of the more moderate, more left-leaning Republicans, and also some of the really lefty Democrats that were pretty much on a Bernie and bust movement, and also that are kind of thinking about voting for third parties such as Jill Stein and Gary Johnson. So this debate is going to be really interesting in that aspect. Now, one point that I really want to point out is that regarding Hillary Clinton, the bar for her is set incredibly high. Everybody knows that she's been in politics now for 20 years. She's a trained lawyer, a corporate lawyer, a professional diplomat, and a former senator, and of course the wife of a former president. So we are expecting her to be able to hold her own regarding policy. There's not going to be any question that she's not going to be able to answer in depth. Everything from even the minute details of the civil war in Syria to even complicated questions regarding religious factions in Iraq and Afghanistan and how they interact. And Donald Trump will be graded on a much lower scale. For Donald Trump to do well in debate, the thing he has to do is just act reasonable. Just don't embarrass himself. Just don't say something extremely stupid, and avoid telling a lie. Unlike Hillary Clinton, for her to really win is not only does she have to be amazing and just really rock the stage, but she also has to be between that fine line of kind of playing that woman type Hillary Clinton or the more angry Hillary Clinton, just to be in the balance. She doesn't want to be too weak because Donald Trump is loud, but she doesn't want to be too loud where people are going to say she's an old crazy grandma, which the right wing has been saying a lot recently. So she's going to have to find that fine balance in tone and presentation, along with presenting her material as a professional. Donald Trump, on the other hand, it just needs to show up and just pretty much just get it by, just act reasonable, and that's really, when you think about it, not fair at all. Some people could point at it being sexism towards Hillary Clinton. Why is the bar for her 2 times higher? I remember my grandpa's always told me that a black guy always needs to be 2 times better than a white guy to get a job, and that's still true in the U.S. If a black guy wants to get a job, he must be a lot better. And women, it's the same thing, especially when you start talking about executive level positions and high level government. They have to be extraordinary to get to those positions. A lot of white men just don't like to vote for those people. They prefer to see their own in office. And I understand that blacks also prefer to vote for their own people too. So for Hillary Clinton, it's going to be tough for her because she's going to have to be on her game 100%. Donald Trump, on the other hand, just has to show up and be reasonable. Now, this is one of the main issues in the debate. It's not fair that Donald Trump is being totally graded on a lower grade. Their standard should be the same, and it should be exactly the same. It should be a very high standard, and Donald Trump should be held to the same standard that Hillary Clinton's being held at right now. But he's not. He should be able to get into the type of depth and foreign policy and discussions, and also just facts, just telling the truth about what's happening in the world at the same level Hillary Clinton can. But he's not going to be held to that standard. And at the Commander-in-Chief Forum we saw a few weeks ago, he was not held to that standard. He was lying constantly about his support for the Iraq War. He said he didn't vote or he wasn't for the Iraq War, but really on a Howard Stern show he said he was. He wasn't called out. And a whole lot of stuff in the media has been coming out about Trump's scandals and his issues, but he's been kind of quiet about it. I think he's been preparing for this, but he should be graded on the same curve as Hillary Clinton. Even if you don't like Hillary Clinton, even if you're completely against her and you think she's scandalous and a terrible person, they need to be graded on the same curve. So how is election going to change after this debate? The main thing we're going to see is some of the independents and, like I said, some of the middle ground voters make their decision probably after tonight. We're going to see a 2 to 3 point bump for one of the candidates by the end of the night. By the next week when the polls are done, we're going to see a huge difference. And the reason is people want to see them sitting together and they want to see them battle it out. Who is going to be able to present themselves as the president? Who they need to make themselves come off as somebody that you could trust behind the Oval Office and somebody that's going to make big decisions regarding sending troops to war and also domestic policy. And what we could see is a lot of the independent voters finally making their decision tonight. This is going to really make or break one of the candidates, I think. The next few debates, unless something crazy happens this debate is going to define the tone of the rest of the election. There's only 40-something days left. So this is it. And Donald Trump should not be held to a different standard than Hillary Clinton. And instead of talking about personal issues such as Trump University and his scandals regarding that and taking money from people and lying all the time, and Hillary Clinton for her email in Benghazi, they should really just talk about the issues. How are they going to handle terrorism? How are they going to handle healthcare? How are they going to handle Social Security? These are really important issues that the American people need to hear about. And tonight we're going to get it. My prediction is that Hillary Clinton's going to dominate. I think Trump will get a few jabs in. I think he'll get away with some lies and some bull crap. But I'm quite certain that Hillary Clinton's been preparing for this for a while. You could just read the news. This is what she loves, right? She's a wonk. She's a policy nerd. And I'm predicting that she's going to get in there and she's just going to expose Donald Trump's ignorance on every front. Everything from foreign policy to domestic and economic issues, immigration, and of course our energy problems. And I think it's going to be one of the first moments that Donald Trump is going to pretty much have his clothes off, right? Show all his ignorance and completely be exposed to the whole world. And hopefully for all the Clinton supporters, that's what happens. But we can't forget Trump knows how to fight, and he's really good at avoiding questions. There was this one question to Donald Trump about how he would manage, this is during the Republican primary, about how he would manage the nuclear triad, and he didn't even know what it was, and he gave about a 1-minute spiel about how we need to be using our nukes, and it really didn't make any sense. It was like something a middle school kid would say. Of course, Rubio and Cruz jumped all over him for that, but we can't excuse that anymore, and that needs to be recorded, and it needs to be held against him, because at this level, he's now the Republican nominee. He could very well become president. He needs to be held at the same level as Hillary Clinton. That's what's going to happen, I think, is that Hillary Clinton's going to, although she has a serious disadvantage to Trump because the bar is set differently, and although she is expected to be amazing and Trump can just show up reasonably, she should be able to clean his clock, because this is what she does, right? This is her game now. When Donald Trump's out there giving speeches, it's in his field, right? He kicks out protesters that are against him. He controls the whole dialogue, and he dictates pretty much what his issues are, and so does Hillary Clinton. But when you're together, which she has a lot of experience doing this, now they're on her playing field. She's done this with Bernie Sanders, right? One-on-one debates, 2 of them. She did this for Barack Obama multiple times, and she also had a lot of debates when she was running for a senator. So this is her time to shine. If she wants to really get ahead, this is her time to shine. This is her time to expose Trump's ignorance, to show that he's a big buffoon, and to really show the American people that yes, she's made mistakes, yes, she's not perfect, but she is a person and she's very knowledgeable and she is qualified. to be the United States president.